The Jaguars played their absolute worst game of the year, and it was done at the wrong time. I'm going to tell you the reality of this team right now as we stand, and I'll do it in just a second. Here on a postcast edition of Locked On Jaguars.
You are Locked On Jaguars, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for joining us here on a postcast of Locked On Jaguars. I am Tony Wiggins, your daily Locked On Jaguars host, where it's your team every day, and we thank you for making us your first listen. I'm going to read some comments really fast. Joe Pistol says, hashtag go Jags. Iron Tanker, hi, Twiggy. This show will be tough. Call me Twiggy. That's all good, though. Chris Park, number 25, says, what's your opinion on the O-line? I'll give all of that stuff. The reason why, yeah, you're right, T. Carter. They went out like some suckers. Joe Pistol says, schematically flawed. Jason Miller says, is it Mike or Balky? All right, so I wanted to get those comments in real quick because this is all about your reaction. This is all about how you feel. This is all about us having a grief session again because the Jaguars took a golden opportunity and act like they were all mad at each other. You know what they act like? You ever seen a couple, you ever hang out with some friends, a married couple, and they come in and they're all sad and you know there was a slow ride over to your house because they had an argument yesterday? They acted like they argue with each other. They act like the Jaguars act like they just had no interest in taking care of each other today. A 40-14 shellacking, a stomping from the Detroit Lions on a day where they should have been motivated because the Titans lost. The Jaguars could have got within 2 games of the Tennessee Titans, but they didn't. Came out today. I don't know if it was intended to be this way, or I don't know if it was going to be this way before the game started. They started out looking like they were going to run the ball with some success. Travis Etienne fumbles. Once that fumble happens, you realize the Jaguars weren't going to be able to stop anybody because the Lions went right down the field and scored. The Jaguars got the ball back again, and Zay Jones, I think, dropped 39 passes on one drive, including one that would have given them first and goal inside the 5-yard line. They settled for a field goal. Detroit got the ball and scored another touchdown, right? So it's 14-3. They're behind the 8 ball. They get it to 14-6. And then right before the half, Detroit scores again. I think Detroit scored in their first 4 or 5 possessions. So it was clear that they weren't going to stop anybody, okay? And that's a problem. If you can't stop anybody, you don't give your team a chance to get back in. So let me tell you something, though. This might have been a blessing in disguise, and I'm not here just trying to put a positive spin on anything, okay? But it might have been a blessing in disguise. And bear with me. If the Jaguars go on this playoff run and they continue to play the way they played the last few weeks, that means Trent Baalke did his job, doesn't it? That means you can't get rid of a guy, and you can't get rid of a dude because he's hit on all of his draft picks for the last 2 years, where a few of them, many of them, right? You can't get rid of a dude if they make the playoffs and they make this run and they go 10-7 and win the division, can you? But you can damn sure get rid of them today, because what I realize is the Jaguars just have a team full of guys, and some of those guys that are just guys are playing prominent roles and prominent positions on this football team, and that needs to stop. They don't have enough elite players. They don't have enough players that they can lean on. Like St. Brown was the guy that today that Detroit says, okay, we're going to lean on you a little bit, you know, and they did. They went to him, and they went to Swift at running back, and he did his thing. And then on defense, they were flying around tackling people. Coming into this game, I had talked to Matt Derry from Locked On Lions last week, and he said that those guys couldn't stop the pass. It did a pretty good job stopping the pass today because guys act like they could not catch the ball. Evan Ingram was another guy who dropped balls even though he scored a touchdown. There's a talent deficiency here in Jacksonville. And what I mean is, it doesn't mean that the guys can't play. They just have too many average to below average players making a lot of money, or they use a lot of draft capital on them, and they're playing in positions where they're just not good enough. They're not good enough to match the other team on a week-to-week basis. So maybe it was a blessing in disguise that has been exposed for what it really is, and we're not out here paying guys or depending on people to be better than they really, really are when they're absolutely not as good as the record would have indicated that they would had they made a little bit of a run. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about some things on defense. Everybody wants to talk about the pass rush or the one that does not exist. We'll do that here in just a second on a special postcast show here on Locked On Jaguars. Today's show is brought to you by Total Wine and More. That's right, Total Wine and More. Get ready for the holidays, man. This is the thing. This holiday, find whatever you love at Total Wine and More with so many great bottles to choose from. It's easy to find new favorite single barrel bourbon or the perfect gifts for everyone on your list. I'm a single malt guy, so anybody wants to give me some single malt, you know where you can go get it, right? With some help from a friendly guide, they'll take you throughout the entire store, and you'll be able to find whatever you need. And all with the confidence of knowing you found something special for the lowest price. You'll love what you find only at Total Wine and More. Curbside pickup and delivery available in most areas. Visit TotalWine.com to learn more. Spirits not sold in Virginia and North Carolina. Please drink responsibly and make sure you are 21. Today's show is also sponsored by SimpliSafe. You're going to talk about what you need during the holidays, man. SimpliSafe is something else that you need to get on, because a lot of robberies and a lot of personal break-ins and violations of folks' privacy happen during the holidays, and that's because folks think that you're going to get caught slipping. Well, we believe home should be where you and your family feel safest, especially over the holidays. This season, give yourself and your family the gift of peace and protection with the #1 rated home security system, SimpliSafe. Right now, SimpliSafe is offering Locked On Jaguars listeners 40% off a new home security system. But don't put this off. Now, my son has this beautiful new home on a lake, and he has SimpliSafe, and he says it works great for him because they monitor it 24 hours, and anytime something goes wrong, you always get an immediate response and due diligence from the SimpliSafe professionals, and that is a wonderful, wonderful thing. SimpliSafe was named the best home security system of 2022 by U.S. News and World Report, a third year in a row. Don't miss your chance to save big on my favorite security system. Get 40% off any new system at SimpliSafe.com/LockedOnNFL today. That's SimpliSafe.com/LockedOnNFL. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. I wish this was a safe place for us, man, to just talk about a Jaguars victory, but we had that last week, and now we no longer have that, because I don't know if they came out flat. I don't know if they had stomach aches. I don't know if they got angry at each other. But for some reason, they came out without life, or they came out and life was quickly sucked out of them because of their own mistakes, and Detroit put their foot on their throat and would not let it off. The Jaguars had lost all of their games by no more than 10 points, with the one in Kansas City, and then the rest of them all by a touchdown or less. Didn't happen today. They got mollywopped. They got dumped. And it's just a reminder of who they aren't. And who they aren't, they're not consistently going to be the team that beat both the Raiders as well as the Ravens. They're not going to be that until they increase their talent level. And then when they increase their talent level, they have to really, really make sure that they get guys who are going to be able to stand up to the other team when the other team has some talent. And they don't have that right now. And then I'm starting to question too. I don't like to make knee-jerk reactions. I'm really questioning the scheme defensively, as well as Mike Caldwell as the defensive coordinator. There's too much rotating going on when guys you almost think that they think the backups, especially in the front seven, are just as good as the starters. And if you think that, you have a problem. And if that is the case, they have a problem. And if they believe that, they ought to just play the other guys, because Josh Allen is on a milk carton and has been for 2 years, in my opinion, at least 2 years. I thought they should have traded him at the trade deadline. Trayvon Walker might be best served as a big end with his hand on the ground because he'll get to use his athleticism and his quickness faster instead of getting off to this running start that does not seem to work and it does not seem to fit him. He's super, super athletic. He's not real bendy when it comes to that. And I think he got a sack today, but it was a sack where Goff got chased off by other people. And he didn't really get upstaged by Aiden Hutchinson. Hutchinson had the one sack, but nobody blocked him. It was a blown assignment. But pretty nondescript game by both guys who were the first and second pick, with all the talk of everybody talking about revenge and all of that stuff. So outside of Trevor Lawrence and Christian Kirk and Foley Oluokun, I don't know if there's much else that the Jaguars can point to that was anything good. The field goal kicker made 2 field goals, so that was pretty tough. Screet Baby Vlogs, and I said Screet, it's spelled with a K. He said that they missed Andre Sisco. Sure, but your entire defensive system shouldn't fold up and go out of the window for one guy. They couldn't stop the run. They couldn't do anything. They've continued to struggle with underneath passing and shallow crossers all year. That stuff has not improved, and they are really, really regressing defensively. And it appears that they've regressed in terms of preparing themselves psychologically to come out and play a big game. They could be 2 games behind Tennessee right now had they won today, and they knew what was at stake. The likelihood of Tennessee winning today wasn't going to happen too much, and they got beat up pretty good in Philly. They blew an opportunity, and they are just not good. They're not good. The quarterback is good. You got some other pieces that were good. Like I said, Christian Kirk played well, but for the most part, everyone else, whether it's Cam Robinson and all of these guys, and I think they were just lifeless today, man. And that's all you can really say about it. I don't want to beat it up too bad, but I'm going to, starting on Monday, I'm going to now start saying that they need another general manager, because it's not that whether or not you think he's been terrible. Is he the guy that's going to bring them from where they are to the next spot? And I don't think he is. Think about it like this. When Trent Baalke took over this team as the general manager 2 years ago, the Jags had more salary cap space than anyone. And this is something that we're going to focus on this week. They had more salary cap space than any team in the league, and they had the first pick in the draft. You knew they had it the first year. They ended up with it the second year also. So they were not just picking in the first overall pick, but they were picking first and early in every round, and they had extra draft choices in both drafts because of the Jalen Ramsey trade. That's you had all of that, and this is what you end up with. And they got one of the worst salary cap situations going into next season. They have an awful lot of guys to replace, and no one's safe other than the quarterback. You still need a wide receiver. You still need an edge rusher. You still need defensive linemen. You still need a corner. You still need another safety. And I'm not so sure that you're good enough at linebacker to let that rest either. You still need another a guard and possibly a tackle. You need a whole room full of tight ends. I asked you, with 2 years, extra draft picks, picking high, and I'm going to pose this question tomorrow, with a boatload, enough money to choke a goat, a boatload of cash, what has he done to make them so bad that they don't have any money, right? They don't have any. They're going to have to be real creative to create cap space. And all of the positions, seemingly other than quarterback, still need to be full, and running back. He hasn't done anything. He needs to go. So we're going to start that on Monday. Make sure you tune in to Locked On Jaguars podcast, your daily podcast where it's your team every day. We thank you for making us your first listen. Free on all platforms. Come tomorrow, I'm going to rip Trent Baalke a new one, and we're going to try to start this campaign up to see if they're going to listen. They probably ain't, but it's bad. It's really, really bad, and it showed today. So the fool's gold from last week is gone, and in a way, I'm glad, because sometimes a guy will do just enough in order to keep his job, even when he doesn't deserve it. So we're going to go in on Trent Barker tomorrow and take a deep dive look at this team. Until then, you guys take care of each other. Make sure if you're driving home from one of your favorite local spots, be safe on the road, and we'll see you tomorrow on Locked On Jaguars.